Welcome to Kids Academy.
Hey, it's Coach Rob and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about abbreviated chess notation, and this is really the way that tournament chess players record their moves. It's very similar to what we're used to, which is the expanded chess notation, but this makes things a little bit easier, a little bit shorter, and if you've ever been to a chess tournament, you know those score sheets you use to write your moves down, those boxes are very small, so it's important that we can save as much space as we can. Abbreviated chess notation differs from expanded notation in one big way, and that is we don't record the starting square of the piece. So for example, we're used to writing the move king's pawn 2 steps as e2-e4, and that's a very specific move. It tells us exactly what happened. The pawn on e2 went 2 steps to e4. Now a tournament player would just omit the e2 portion and just write e4. Because we know, looking at this position, that there is already a pawn on e2, and by playing e4, we know it must have been this pawn that moved 2 steps. So we would record this as e4. If black played this move, we wouldn't write e7, e5. Simply e5 is enough for a chess player to know what move took place. If we were to bring out a knight, it's the same exact notation system. We use a capital N, uppercase N for knight, and this destination square. So this would be nf3. In expanded notation, we would write ng1, denoting that the knight started on g1 dash f3, going to f3, but really it's not necessary. We can just write nf3, and we know that this knight, since it's the only knight that could have gone here, must have gone to f3. Knight f3, we would record this move as nc6. Again, we're striking the starting square and just writing the destination. Knight c6. How would white record the move bishop to the c4 square? Well, in expanded notation, we would write bf1-c4, but we can simply write uppercase B and the square name, bc4, and that tells any chess player that the bishop went to c4. The only time abbreviated chess notation gets a little bit tricky is if you have a position where two of the identical piece can go to the same square. For example, I'm just going to make some moves to get us to a position where that could happen. Castles, let's bring the bishop out, move the pawn, black castles, bring the knight. Okay, let's capture, bring out the bishop. Okay, and we'll just do a move, I don't know, we'll play queen d7. It's white's turn, and if white wanted to put a rook on e1, using abbreviated chess notation, we would write this move as re1. However, this is a little bit unclear, because in this position, there are actually 2 rooks that can go to e1. We could use expanded notation for this move and write rf1-e1, or the abbreviated version would be rfe1, and that tells us that a rook on f moved to e1. This is important that if we play a game and we're going over the moves later, we're studying, we're analyzing, we know exactly which rook has moved in case we don't remember. We're looking at this game a few hours later, a week later, we will be able to know instantly which rook has moved to e1. If this move was rooking to e1, we would write this as rae1, and that's telling us the rook on the A file is moving to e1. So if you have 2 of the same piece that can move to the square, it's important to denote based on the file or the rank, and then put the destination square. So for example, if we're going to c1, rac1 or rfc1, and that will tell us exactly which rook is moving. Let's see, what else is there? Well, what happens if there are 2 knights? In this position, black wants to play the move knight f5. Now, if we wrote nh f5, that still wouldn't be very helpful, because in this instance, both knights are on the h file. So nh f5 would not actually tell us which knight is moving. If both pieces are on the same file, then we can use the rank. So here, if this knight were to move to f5, we could write this as n for knight, 6 f5, and that tells us the knight on the 6th rank is moving to f5. How would you write this move using abbreviated chess notation? Well, here, this knight is on the 4th rank, so this would be uppercase N, number 4, and the square name f5. So n4 f5 tells us this knight, and you can see it right here on the computer screen, n4 f5 is moving to this square. This knight on h4 is ending up on f5. So this just saves a little bit of time. It saves a little bit of space on the score sheet. Everything else is pretty much the same. Castling is still 0-0 for a kingside castle, or 0-0-0 for a queenside castle. We still use the letter X in abbreviated notation to denote a capture. For example, this would be bx e6. You can see it right here, and that tells us that the bishop captured something on the e6 square. If the pawn were to capture back, we would write this as fx e6. The f pawn did a capture on e6. Really, the only difference between abbreviated notation and expanded notation is that once you're more comfortable with writing your moves down, you can just strike out the starting squares and only write the destination. We still use everything else the same. Uppercase letters for pieces, lowercase letters for square names, and that is it. So now you are ready. Once you feel comfortable and practiced using expanded, you can go ahead and try abbreviated chess notation. You'll notice that that's how a lot of the chess literature, chess magazines, chess books, even chess videos, they all use abbreviated chess notation. Just saves a little bit of time and a little bit of space. All right, go ahead and practice that, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.